Everybody's favorite Pokemon that cannot hit its moves is back for another restricted format. That's right, we're talking about Groudon. We all know Groudon cannot hit a Precipice Blades to save its life. It is a very annoying move to use, yet Groudon continuously becomes one of the strong options in restricted formats time and time again. And now it gets a new toy to play with. This is really what I'm going to focus this guide on, and I am going to focus this guide on Clear Amulet. But really quickly, for those who don't necessarily know what Groudon is doing or what Groudon might be, we're going to go over, we got Drought, Setting Sun. Setting Sun is really, really good. What you do with this is you not only get Pokemon that support Groudon, because that's how you play restricted formats, right? You build up your core around your restricted Pokemon. Now, not only can you get Pokemon that support Groudon, but Groudon can also support the rest of the team. So now you get access to stuff like Chlorophyll users or Photosynthesis more recently, right? And you also get the ability to maybe boost Ogerpon Fire's damage. That's a really strong core as well. So Sun, really, really good. Never going to complain about a Sun setter. We all know this is the necessary evil on Groudon, which is Precipice Blades. It is a base 120 power move and an 85% accurate move that hits both targets 85% of the time. That feels like 2% of the time. This move sucks, okay? Having to rely on this move sucks. But then again, everybody was loving Bleak Windstorm and no one complained there, so maybe y'all can keep running Precipice Blades and keep gambling, right? But Precipice Blades is Groudon's signature move. It is an incredibly strong option, assuming it's going to connect. If you can find ways to make this connect, maybe with like Gravity or, you know, even just like, I guess Dipplin now dropping their evasion. Don't do that, guys. That was just me just trying to list other ways to get Gravity or make Precipice Blades hit. Don't do that. Gravity's actually kind of cool, though. Gravity beside Groudon is cool. Don't use Dipplin. But, like, you just get basic things, right? Like, you get Precipice Blades. You get cool access to stuff like Brick Break if screens ever became a huge part of the format. You get access to Heat Crash, and you are heavy, okay? Groudon, you are one heavy Pokemon, and Heat Crash is hitting almost everything ridiculously hard. You are one-shotting Rillabooms. You are one-shotting Fluttermaids, right? You hit everything so hard, especially because you're just setting the sun for yourself. This is a must-run on Groudon here. And I think it's incredibly strong. You get the ability to set yourself up with Sword Dance. You get the ability to set yourself up if you wanted to go bulk up instead. Maybe get a defense boost on it, right? You get Shadow Claw if you really wanted to be scared of Calyrex. Right, you have so many options on Groudon. There's really no reason to not take them, right? And that's where, I mean, Heavy Slam. I didn't even mention Heavy Slam. I didn't even realize it got access to Helping Hand. I wouldn't use it, but you do get it, right? You get a lot of options here. Its stats are really strong, and its one weak spot is going to be that special defense, but 190 isn't even that bad. So we're going to jump immediately into the first set, guys, because we kind of get the gist of what Groudon is going for here. And in my opinion, set 1 is by far the best set that Groudon has in this format. This is leaps and bounds better than any of the other two sets I am going to show you today. But I wanted to showcase the other two sets as experimental, as I think there is maybe niche scenarios where you could run them. However, Clear Amulet is disgusting. Incineroar is the Intimidate Cycler of the format. You now don't get intimidated by it. You can't get Pardon Shotted off from it. You click Precipice Blades into it. You're probably not going to get the kill immediately, since a lot of them are EVing to live. But you get any chip on the instant, you get 98% down done to them with a Precipice Blades. That feels pretty good. Maybe you get a Swords Dance up first, then you're one-shotting them, right? And Terra Fire is the Terra of choice. Very similar to the Landorus Incarnates from the last format, where you'd go Terra Poison, and it would act defensively and offensively at the same time. This is what Terra Fire is doing here because you're running Heat Crash, right? So not only are you going Terra Fire and you're able to live those Moonblasts from those big fairy types into format, right? That's pretty much the big one. You're able to live those grass attacks. You're able to all of a sudden go Heat Crash for that boosted damage as well. And Terra Fire just feels like the outright winner when it comes to Terra types on Groudon right now. At least for right now, it's still very early format. And once again, guys, disclaimer with these videos, these are all example sets. Feel free to interchange something that you maybe like from set 2 and throw it onto set 1. Give it a shot, but I wanted to showcase 3 kind of separate lines of thought when it comes to Groudon, but you can definitely mix a couple of these sets. Anyways, you're starting off Precipice Blades, Heat Crash, Swords Dance. I think Swords Dance is really strong on this Pokemon, knowing you cannot get an Intimidate off onto it. you don't necessarily need Swords Dance, but knowing they can't bring you back down to neutral or back down to -1 at any point because of the clear amulet is really, really strong. There's a lot of opportunities in this format for you to actually click Swords Dance. Very similar to the Calyrex Shadow Guide that we just did. There is opportunities for you to get Swords Dances off in this format, right? Whether it's beside Fake Out, whether it's beside Follow Me. These pieces do not go down easily. So redirecting one attack and having to eat a spread attack generally oftentimes isn't that bad. Groudon can live that without really worrying, without a care in the world, getting a Swords Dance off and then just putting out a lot more pressure onto your opponent, which feels really, really good because, like I said, you can't send an Intimidate in to mitigate this. Once you get that SD up, it's up unless they do something like Knock Off, then Parting Shot, then bring it in. But by the time they do that, you're at +3, +4, right? So I think Swords Dance is really, really strong here, and we're going to go Protect. And this is the spread I used in one of the first Regulation F tournaments to get top 8 at that tour. I'll leave that video for you guys down below. I talk a lot about the team in general, so if you guys are interested in that, definitely check it out. But if not, back over here to what this spread actually does. It's nothing crazy. I hit the second jump in attack because I was like, you know what? 156 feels good enough. You don't really need more than that, right? You want to get some special bulk. And really, there was nothing I really specifically calced for here. I had grassy terrain, so I was looking at some stuff with like, if Calyrex hit me, and then I got to get the grassy terrain healing, and then I got the Protect, got more grassy terrain healing. Could I live it again? Right? So there's a lot of stuff like that that was calced for on this spread, but it has been a very, very strong spread for me to utilize. And you know, 76 just felt good. A lot of the Rillabooms, I don't think they've adapted to the speed stats of Groudon yet. Early format. Now, granted, keep in mind, Rillabooms may start going faster as the format develops to start creeping these 120s, these 122s, the 123s. Those areas, Rillabooms might start going faster. They might start sitting there. So you may have to keep an eye on that. But right now, early format, this spread has been faster than a lot of Rillabooms, and I've just been able to make quick work of them with a Heat Crash, right? Now, you could just slow it down and just send me a Terra Fire versus the Rillabooms, but the speed stat has been generally pretty nice for me, right? Once again, if you're going to go slow, please do not go lower than 112. 112 is the move. In Tailwind is what's going to get you past that Calyrex Shadow, which is just a good speed stat to hit, right? But right now, 76, it feels like a very good spread. The spread was pretty consistent for me. I would probably look at it, especially if you have Swords Dance. You could easily drop back down to 76 here and just get the Swords Dance up and rely on that, and then just bulk this thing up even more. That gives you a whole extra 80 EVs to just put more bulk in this thing and make it even harder to take off the field. So you could easily do that, but I liked having the ability to actually do damage without having to worry. You know what I mean? Without having to make sure I get a Swords Dance off, right? Having the ability to do damage without the Swords Dance is also very, very nice because you're not always going to get it off. Yes, there's opportunities to do it, but you're not always going to get that. Regardless, though, my problem with this set is you have to hit P-Blades, right? At some point, you're going to have to hit a P-Blades. Now, granted, at some point with any set you run, you're going to have to hit a Precipice Blades, right? So maybe you pair this with Gravity. What I actually like doing as well is you could drop Swords Dance and put Stomping Tantrum in, right? I did run this variant in the tournament, but that's only because I didn't have time to fully test Swords Dance. I think Swords Dance is way better, but Stomping Tantrum is fun. All of a sudden, you double miss the Precipice Blades, Stomping Tantrum gets double boosted, right? All of a sudden, they fake you out because they can no longer Parting Shot you, or Intimidate you. They fake you out. Stomping Tantrum is double boosted, right? Stomping Tantrum boosts are really, really nice here, but more importantly, what I was using Tantrum for was the consistent ground type coverage. If Incineroar hit the field in an endgame at 40%, and I needed to make sure I removed it from the field, with Stomping Tantrum, I could guarantee that that instant slot was being removed from the field. With Precipice Blades, I'm relying on 85% chance to hit that. Having the Stomping Tantrum, having that 100% accurate move felt really, really strong. So it's something I would consider here if you feel like you don't need Swords Dance or you don't have opportunities to get Swords Dance off. But this right here, this moveset here, once again, play around with the EVs if there's opportunities to play there, but it is a very good starting point. This right here is by far the best Groudon set you're going to see in the format. This is going to be Groudon #1. This is by far what you're going to see on the majority of teams. Next set is going to be a little bit more out there. I didn't even put a Terra type on it, but it's probably going to be Fire or Steel. You could probably get away with grass on this one to maybe not worry too much about Amoonguss, but you heat crash Amoonguss anyways. I do still think fire is consistent. There's other options, right? Terra normal Groudon, get really screw over Calyrex? Yes, no? No, don't do that. But Terra Fire is fun, right? I think it's probably the most consistent one we're going to see at this point in the format. Don't be afraid to maybe play around with it. But I see it just does so much for Groudon that I have really no complaints about it. And there's a lot of moves I just wanted to feature on this set, which, once again, Precipice Blade, Sea Crash is normal. But with an Assault Vest and Shadow Claw, you actually become a very strong contender to deal with Calyrex Shadow Rider. Right? And Groudon, by the way, guys, is so heavy that if they do Terra Fairy that Calyrex Shadow Rider, Heavy Slam is also hitting it pretty hard. Right? I'm not sure about the calc. I don't know if it straight up gets to kill. I think it's going to depend on the bulk they have and the bulk you and the attacks that you have. I haven't really looked into that calc yet. But Heavy Slam is really, really strong. It puts on pressure immediately into Flutter Mane. Obviously, Heat Crash does the same thing. You probably do not need Heavy Slam. But you could go Heavy Slam and Terra Steel. That would be cool, right? I think there's, once again, this is the turn where I would put that 100% Stomping Tantrum onto the board, right? This is where I'd say, I know what, I need to make sure I hit a move this turn. I'm clicking Stomping Tantrum right now, right? This is where I would click Tantrum. This is where I would put this move in a little bit more consistently. Now, once again, I have this built to live Specs Shadow Rider, to be a 3-shot from Specs Shadow Rider. So I'll live 2 Astral Barrages and then die to the 3rd. And that feels really, really strong. Now, granted, I think you might need a little more attack since you don't have the ability to boost it. But this is fine. You could drop the speed since you have a little bit more bulk. Maybe put your attack stat back, right? You can also play around with this. I think you can probably find a spot where you drop your HP and then boost up your special defense, and you probably can get the same calc on the Calyrex Astral Barrage, and then maybe jump back up to 156 here. That's probably pretty decent, right? But for right now, there's a lot of opportunities. I just kind of wanted to showcase that there's different things you can do with Groudon at this point, right? Assault Vest is still a really, really good item. The problem is Assault Vest is taken a lot of the time by the likes of Rillaboom, by the likes of Raging Bolt, by the likes of, hey, even Incineroar doesn't even hate Assault Vest in this format. There's a lot of better Assault Vest users. And Groudon is just a clear front runner for Clear Amulet, right? It's just so good. It makes really 0 sense if you're not using it. But there are niche scenarios I can maybe see where, like, yeah, Assault Vest kind of patches a few matchups, right, that maybe you'd want to try it. The other set, I mean, I'm not really going to touch upon at all, but I'm going to go over it quickly because I do think it's at least something to consider. And that is Leftovers Bulk Up Groudon. And this is one of those old school ones where you're basically looking at your opponent's team and you're saying, wow, they are all physical attackers. So you can get to click a couple bulk ups and all of a sudden they can no longer break your Groudon, right? That's the concept here, getting that bulk up, especially in front of like maybe like a Calyrex Ice and going Terra Fire. Getting one bulk up off and all of a sudden the Calyrex can't really get through you. You can maybe bulk up again. Because the thing with bulk up, you're not only boosting your defense, you're also boosting your attack. So you're eventually going to just put out big pressure, right? It's a little bit more of a passive play style. Could you run bulk up on the Clear Amulet set? Absolutely. It's just not as consistent, in my opinion, as the Swords Dance. But you could absolutely do it. This was basically, I wanted to showcase you do get access to something like bulk up, which is something you may want to consider if you're trying to build a team. Other than that, there's really no spread here. There's really nothing fancy. Keep in mind, guys, set 1 is the set you're running if you're running Groudon. It's so consistent outside of having to rely on hitting P-Blades. This is one of the most consistent Pokemon for Clear Amulet to be on. It feels incredibly, incredibly strong in the format. Once again, Groudon, historically, one of the best Pokemon in restricted formats. I don't think it's quite as good in this format, but there's still quite a bit of things that are doing really, really well going in Groudon's favor right now, and it is still going to be a really strong core. Not just Groudon alone, but being able to boost other Pokemon. That's the one thing the Calyrexes don't get to take advantage of, right? They don't get to take advantage of helping out their partners nearly as much as the likes of like a Groudon or a Kyogre would be able to help out their partners, right? Groudon helps out its partner without needing to get a kill first. Calyrex helps out their partners by just absolutely nuking the entire field. It's a little bit different playstyle, a little bit more quote-unquote balanced playstyle, for lack of a better term right now, right? But Groudon, really, really strong, guys. Definitely give it a shot if you haven't yet. Going to be a good mon in the format. But with that, we are going to wrap this one up. If you guys are enjoying these guides, please feel free to like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And of course, I really do appreciate it. But with that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you all in a future video.